Two of the most talked about tech products in recent weeks are Apple's Vision Pro, which of course is open to pre-orders in the US, and the new Rabbit R1, which is an AI pocket companion. Now, naturally, these are two very different products, but I think both have got the possibility of being genuine game changers in the computing arena. But I think one of these products especially is going to have a real impact. Let's talk about Apple's Vision Pro first of all. Apple calls it a spatial computer, and it's actually instructed developers not to call it AR or VR, which is strange because that's what it is. And it's not a particularly new area of technology anymore. So you might be asking, where's the innovation? Particularly when some of the advertised features can be achieved with other consumer-grade mixed reality headsets that are on sale now for considerably less money. Meta's Quest Pro headset is more than 3 times cheaper, for example. And actually, I've seen that one today on Amazon UK for just £570, and that's directly from Meta, so perhaps indication that a new model is on the way. But of course, Apple's Vision Pro isn't directly comparable with Meta's Quest Pro, and it clearly has some additional technology that's contributing to that higher price point. Of course, you've also got that tight integration with other Apple products in the ecosystem, and whether that's worth the considerable price hike to you, well, only you can answer that. But Vision Pro certainly takes the crown when it comes to computing performance, since it has Apple's powerful M2 chip on board. But that doesn't mean you should necessarily expect to run your favorite computing apps natively within Vision OS. More than likely, you'll be using a MacBook to run the app, and Vision Pro will simply be projecting the display into your environment. When it comes to compatible apps, Apple has been fairly quiet on that front. Vision Pro is compatible with iOS and iPad apps, but developers have the opportunity to opt out of Vision Pro support, and it seems this is the case already with Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube. And of course, you need to remember there's a big difference between an app being compatible with Vision Pro and an app that is specifically designed for Vision Pro. And apparently, the number of apps that have been specifically updated for Vision Pro is around 150. Now, of course, more will come, but early adopters need to bear that in mind. Personally, I'm curious about Vision Pro, and I don't want to be one of those who are writing it off before it's even launched. I'd really like to try it, if and when Apple makes it available in the UK. But I do have some concerns about it generally. This is a first-generation product in a space that is new to Apple. I don't personally have a burning desire to be an early adopter. I'd prefer to wait for the second generation when the kinks and bugs have been worked out and there's stronger developer support. I'm also concerned about how long the first generation will stay current as new features get added to Vision OS. Is it going to become obsolete quickly? Now, I confess I'm a tech geek. I love trying new things. But the main thing that interests me about Vision Pro is the ability to have a super clean working environment and then project my display and apps into that environment. And arguably, this is the feature that could be achieved with a cheaper headset. There's something else that concerns me about Vision Pro. We own and run a digital agency here, so we have lots of developers, and I did think about getting one for the developers to play with. But Vision Pro is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and we all have different head shapes and sizes. So when you pre-order your Vision Pro, you have to get the right size. And incidentally, you need an iPhone or iPad with Face ID to do that. Now, this sizing issue means that you can't easily share the device. If I bought one for the team, would all of the developers be able to use it? If I bought one as a consumer, would I be able to share it with my wife? This brings me to my biggest doubts about the product. It seems like a lonely experience. And being able to watch a movie on a virtual cinema screen in some amazing virtual environment sounds fantastic, except for the fact that you're doing it on your own. And movies are much more fun when they're enjoyed with others. If I want to sit down and watch a movie with my family, do I have to buy 4 of these things? When Apple announced the Vision Pro, they showed it being used in a number of different scenarios, and there was one where a dad was capturing spatial video of his daughter's birthday using the Vision Pro. And I found that a bit uncomfortable to watch. We've already reached a point with smartphone cameras where it's very easy to find yourself so distracted with creating a memory of the event that you end up completely missing the event itself. And I don't personally want to be at a party where the host is walking around with Vision Pro on his head. Now, there are some very cool and arguably innovative features in Vision Pro, and clearly these have struck a chord with the Apple fans, since Apple have apparently already sold 180,000 of these things at least $3,500 each. I think this is a problem. The device is priced for professionals, but it seems to be targeted mostly at consumers. But most consumers aren't going to be able to drop $3,500 on a Vision Pro. And for a product to really shake up the market, I believe it needs to be accessible to the masses. So that's where Rabbit R1 comes in. This is a curious device because it represents a significant design change to the handheld that we've all gotten used to, the smartphone. And whilst it's not marketed as a phone, there is some overlap. Rabbit is a new company which has partnered with Teenage Engineering for the design of their new AI pocket companion, the R1. They announced it at CES in an interesting keynote, and it's since received a lot of attention in the tech press. The device, which is only available in this orange colour, has a small touchscreen, a dual microphone array, speakers, and a rotating 360-degree camera, or as Rabbit call it, a rotational eye. On the side of the device is a push-to-talk button where you can talk to the R1 in natural language. It uses a large language AI model, or LLM, so it can understand complex instructions and intentions. But Rabbit takes this a step further with what they call a large action model, or LAM, where they've trained their AI model on user interfaces. The idea is that the AI comes to understand how to navigate websites and online apps so that it can perform tasks for you. I guess you could think of it like having a super intelligent, super responsive personal assistant at the end of a walkie-talkie. Thank you. Assistant. Tell me the square root of 256.
What's the square root? Probably Google it. Shopping.
One particularly impressive demo they did during the keynote was to give the R1 this long, complex instruction to plan a family vacation, which included a destination, sourcing the flights, the hotels, car rental, and then even providing an itinerary for the trip. The R1 understood this long, complex sequence of instructions and was then able to go and search out the best deals on the internet and come back to confirm those with you. And then if you want to go ahead, the R1 can supposedly navigate the websites involved and make the necessary bookings for you. Now, of course, not all of these features are ready yet, and the Rabbit website does show which features are optimally working, those that are still being explored, and those that are in the planning stage, which includes the example I just highlighted. So it does remain to be seen how useful it will be at launch. But there's another interesting feature, some of which is still in the experimental stage, but what you can do is train your R1 to help you with specific tasks in apps and on websites. In other words, anything that you're doing on your computer, you can train the R1 to do for you, within limitations, of course. But this has a potential to be a huge time saver for repetitive tasks that require a level of intelligent interaction. It should also be possible to use that rotating eye to ask R1 about things in the visible world. As a simple example, you could point it at a picture of an actor whose name you can't remember, and R1 will go and find the details for you. But of course, there will also be more complex tasks that you'll be able to achieve with the help of visual input. As I understand it, the R1 processes these verbal instructions on device. But in order for it to actually perform actions for you on the internet, it's going to need a data connection. So there is a SIM card slot. Interestingly, you can also communicate with your R1 via email. So it emails you, or you can email it to send it instructions, or maybe forward emails for it to help you with. Now, you can bet that folks like Apple and Google are already playing with these types of concepts, and the Rabbit will probably be superseded by the same functionality coming to our smartphones. And no doubt, if it's successful, one of the big giants will just buy them out. But in the meantime, I think this is a genuinely interesting application of AI, and it's an interesting device. And here's the best bit. It's $199. And that places the R1 well within reach of most consumers, and is cheap enough for people to dip their toe in the virtual waters. And I think this is one of the most important things you need for mass adoption, and if you want to change the game within the computing realm. Of course, Apple's biggest successes, the iPod, the iPhone, and iPad, were far more affordable than Vision Pro. At time of filming, Rabbit are well into selling their 6th batch of 10,000 pre-orders, so they've sold almost 60,000 of these things. I've got a pre-order in and I'll be testing it later this year. And obviously I'll bring that content to the channel. So this is a convenient point for me to remind you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It only costs you a couple of clicks and it means so much to small creators like me. Thank you. So we've looked at two very different products in two different areas of computing, and they're at opposite ends of a pricing spectrum. Both are getting a lot of hype. Both are doing well with the pre-orders. And both are building on existing technology but adding some small innovations of their own. But if I had to pick which one of them is most likely to change the computing landscape for the masses, I'm probably going to go with the Rabbit. But what do you think? How important is price to a product's success? Are these products being overhyped? And are you looking forward to a future full of AI assistants and mixed reality headsets? Please let me know in the comments. And thanks as always for spending a bit of your valuable time with me today. Hope to see you again soon for some more geekery.